Mormel wasn't the youngest anymore when we met. I had just moved from a small studio to a terraced house in Leuven. In the gardens of these houses were many cats, including strays. It was certainly not love at first sight with Mormel. I found him mainly a bossy cat with a loud and raspy throat sound, which gave him his name. Translated, Mormel means as much as mongrel or mutt. Later I would call him different nicknames like Uberpussy, Dragon Eye, Little Lion, Big Boss, and many more. Anyway, he was very dominant and whacked every other cat out of his garden without much ado. Clearly the alpha male. I had taken care of Tijgertje, or Tiger, a super sweet stray cat who was dangling at the bottom of the cat hierarchy. First 6 months I didn't pay much attention to Mormel. It was clear that he could take care of himself perfectly. Besides, he was the neighbor's cat, so there was no lack of attention or food. Or so I thought. Until he became very ill. I saw him deteriorate day by day. He could barely breathe with his stuffy nose. He lost a lot of weight and he got bald spots on his lower back and his hind legs. After 2 weeks, there was still no improvement and I couldn't stand it anymore. So I stepped over to the neighbors, a little angry, and I asked them why they didn't go to the vet with their cat. Their reply? That's not our cat, that's a stray. So that same day I had the vet come over to our house. Mormel was prescribed pills that I mixed into his food. And of course one thing led to another. From that moment on, he conquered my heart very quickly. He was the complete opposite of Tiger, brimming with self-confidence, not an ounce of fear in his body, a strong character with an unmistakable will of his own. If he didn't agree to something, it would not happen. You don't mess with Mormel. That much was clear. He was a real lion, loved to show himself off, very proud and straightforward. Without beating around the bush, he made it very clear to me that he had set his sights on me. Underneath that tough layer, though, I discovered a big cuddler. His fierce, obstinate, and extrovert side softened as soon as he came to lie on top of me. As if that was the moment he felt safe enough to throw off his armor. He could lie on top of me for hours on end. Yet, during the first years, he still had reservations. He didn't want to be picked up. And things like cutting his nails? Well, I didn't even dare to think about it. One time, a friend of mine picked up Mormeltje unsuspectingly, and my heart almost stopped beating. I thought he was going to rip her face open. Luckily, he didn't, but he made it very clear to her that he wasn't pleased by her behavior at all. When she put him back on the ground, he angrily hissed at her one more time. A few years later, the time came for me to move. I was unsure what to do with Tiger and Mormel. Leave them there in their old familiar place, but without anyone to take care of them? Or take them to the new place? The downside here was that I had no garden at all, not even a balcony. No more gardens, no more trees, no more sand. We had become very attached to each other by now. So when a friend mentioned that her cats wanted to be where she was, that was the decisive factor. I brought them with me to my new home. Moving Tiger was not a problem at all. I could pick him up and put him in the carrier myself in 1, 2, 3. No hissing, no screaming, no scratching. Easy peasy. As usual, Mormel was the opposite. We needed a 3-man and a set of kitchen mitts for this one. In the years that followed, he remained enormously fierce. He had a lot of energy in his body, and he had to take that out several times a day. So I played with him. Unlike Tiger, he wasn't that fond of cameras and being filmed, although I guess he got more or less used to it through the years. He was a very talkative cat. He loved to share his stories with the world. He was very, very curious. He wanted to know everything.
Grab that and skin, and then you're going to draw it up between your fingers and your palm. And then
He enjoyed being around people and absolutely loved being the center of attention. Every morning we had breakfast together. I had to make room for him on my chair so he could come and sit right next to me. Though he loved playing, hunting was not his style. Like a real lion, he left it to the women, aka me, to fetch his food. His hobbies were playing,
Je komt over als een sukkel, man. Is iemand het een beetje beu? Negeer maar dus.
assisting me with my work. banana boxes. And instrument bags. And cuddling, cuddling, cuddling. During the first lockdown, he stopped playing overnight. That was not normal, so I went to the vet. She, however, couldn't find anything and attributed it to old age. But half a year later, Mormel made a wrong jump. He peed on the floor out of pain and he hit himself behind the couch. There was clearly something wrong, so I immediately went to the vet. She felt a mass in his abdomen and said I had to go to the veterinary clinic as soon as possible. So I called the clinic and I was allowed to go there that same evening. There I was told Mormel seemed to have a tumor on his liver. He had to be operated the next day. So I left him at the hospital with a lot of pain in my heart. The next day, the doctor called me during surgery. It wasn't a liver tumor. It was a pancreatic tumor. One of the most aggressive tumors that exist. So I was immediately given a choice. Either leave him in anesthesia, never waking him up again, or have a piece of his pancreas removed, which would lead to a hefty price tag and the guarantee that he would die 2 months later anyway. Of course, I chose the second option. One day later, I could pick him up. He was always very enthusiastic when he saw me, but that day it was even more extreme. Despite the fact that he had just had surgery and he had to wear a transparent collar around his head, he was over the moon with happiness that he could return home. That night in bed, I had taken his collar off. He kept purring on top of me louder and longer than ever before. The enthusiastic head bumps kept coming. He was overflowing with love and happiness. That's a moment I will never forget. It was so beautiful. The following days, I couldn't bear seeing him wrestling with his collar, so I went looking for an alternative. At the vet's, I got a medical pet shirt, which would prevent Mormel licking the stitches on his belly. Though it was for his own good, he wasn't quite cooperative when I tried to put it on. On the contrary, it was our last big fight. I really pissed him off that day. Even 15 minutes later, when I filmed this shot, he was still grumbling at me. Stubborn as he was, he didn't follow the vet's predicted 2 months. He stayed with me for another 5 months.
Hey, daar is te doen. Kijk hier. Kijk.
2 weeks after starting the second lockdown that began the 1st of November 2020, he had surgery. And 2 weeks before the end of that lockdown, the 1st of May 2021, he passed away. I am grateful that we were given this time together, that I got the time to take care of him without any distractions, and I could give him my undivided attention. Grateful for those special last months together, which only made our bond still even deeper and stronger. On Sunday, April the 11th, 2021, at 11 a.m., he died. I dedicate this video to him in honor of the beautiful, wise, strong and fiery soul that he is. Thank you, Mormel, for all you have given me. I will always love you.